you are finally being bestowed the title Distinguished Toastmaster. Congratulations, Belinda.
Thank you, Eric.
Okay, and then moving on, we have two great speakers and two great evaluators. Moving on next in the agenda, could I have the pleasure to invite our grammarian, who is none other than Sinjan. Over to you, Sinjan.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator Eric. Ladies and gentlemen, what follows is my grammarian's report. The word of the day today, plenitude, has been used by 4 people, once by Sun Lee, once by Miss Lee Miriam from in the chat, thrice by Miss Belinda G, and once by Vincent. I would like to point out that although Mr. General Evaluator Eric tried to use it himself, it was in error because he said he had a plenitude of role players. Now, plenitude describes an abundance, and an abundance of something is a typical description of something that is uncountable. I can count with the fingers on my 10 fingers how many role players there are. Therefore, it is not an abundance. I will not count that as a correct use of the word plenitude. And other than that, there have been some words that I think are noteworthy. For example, the words echelons and exuberant by Madam President of MAICSA, Pauline. The word genial and congruence by Distinguished Toastmaster Vincent. And I also like the word pertinent by International President Mr. Richard Peck himself. And lastly, just before my session came along, the word exemplary by Distinguished Toastmaster Mr. General Evaluator Eric. Now, there have been quite a number of grammatical errors throughout this meeting today. I'd like to point out some of them. For example, we have today 16 past presidents in presence with us. Should be, we have 16 past presidents in attendance with us. A mispronunciation of unprecedented should be unprecedented. Although the root word precedent is precedent, the word unprecedented is pronounced unprecedented. There's also a mispronunciation of the word era. They said, I come from the era. You're not an error. At most, you are an accident. There is another issue I would like to point out. It was described that Goliath came from the land of the Palestines. Now, Palestine, the state of Palestine is the term we use today to describe that part of territory occupied near the Gaza Strip. In the old days, Goliath came from the Philistines, which is where we derived the name Palestines, but it's not the same place, or at least it's not the same government. The other thing I would like to point out is, right, in Belinda G's speech, she used the word exco a lot, and exco is actually jargon. It's a portmanteau of executive committee. I would suggest that for non-Toastmasters, I do realize that this meeting is attended mostly by Toastmasters alone. For the purposes of a formal speech outside amongst members of audience that are not familiar with the way we work, perhaps it is best to just use the phrase executive committee members or committee members instead of exco. Exco is a very Malaysian thing, I hear. And just a little house rules, should be just a few, because a little means they are very small. And hear some dog sound in the background. It should be hear some sounds of dogs, or hear the sound of dogs in the background. And skills of persuasions, pluralized, should be singular, because the skill of persuasion is singular. And also an error in using the phrase service leadership as servant leadership. Now, I'm not sure there are many leaders out there who want to be servants, so please try to use the correct term, service leadership. And with that, this concludes my grammarian's report. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you very much for that plenitude Grammarian report, visionary communication to Sinjin. Some people think he is our savior, but some people think he is a nightmare. So thank you very much for that Grammarian report and trying to guide us in using the proper English usage. Always a pleasure to have you here to ensure that we speak like the Americans. Up next in my list, we are going to have the R counter, which is one of the very fun role in the meeting to see how well we actually did in our speech crutches. But I have the pleasure to invite Dynamic Leadership Level 2, Kwani. The stage is yours.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster, General Evaluator, fellow Toastmaster, friends and guests. Here is my culture report. Chi Liang, 1 total 1. Vincent Ho, 1 1 R, 1 repeated word, okay, okay. And other repeated word is putting in, total 4. Then we have Leong Oi Wa, repeated word, different. And also Belinda Jig, we have repeated word, total 1. And we have Eric, here got 1 1 okay, total 2. Jessica, we have 4 1 repeated word, this total 5. Alice got 4 1 okay, total 5. Sanjan have 1 so, total 1. Bernard have 3 total 3. And I would like to congratulation for those that have 0 crutches, which is Sunny, Pauline Lai, Kamalu, Richard, as well as, I don't know, the last one, maybe myself, because I'm not counted. And back to you, Toastmasters, today.
Thank you, R counter. Basically, like the words, like the saying goes, you know, she is like the counter by passion, accountant by profession. So there you have it, a professional accountant who is there keeping tab on the and the that you are making throughout the whole speech. Basically, not to worry too much, as they say, to err is human, but to is normal. And in the Malaysian context, it's always normal to and but of course, we would like to avoid all these speech crutches, as speech crutches does not bring any meaning to your speech. So in this organization, we strive to limit our and Moving on, after the counter, to see that whether we are on time, I hope we are. Could we have the timer, who is none other than Toastmaster Bernard? Over to you.
Thank you, Eric Lau, DTM. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Here is my timekeeper report. Our meeting numbers 496 started at 8 p.m. sharp. Toastmaster of the day, Yi Sun Ling, DTM, took control at 8 o'clock and 7 minutes. She was given 3 minutes to introduce the theme of the meeting, and she took 4 minutes and 25 seconds. Up next on the agenda was our club's president's speech. Pauline Lai, BC2, was given 5 minutes and she spoke for 4 minutes. District 51 Directors, Carmen Lu, DTM, was allocated 3 minutes and she took 2 minutes and 22 seconds. This was followed by keynote address by our distinguished guest, Richard E. Peck DTM. He was given 15 minutes and he took 15 minutes and 20 seconds. Toastmaster of the day was given 4 minutes to introduce you the role players, and she took 4 minutes. Both our speakers for this evening were given 5 to 7 minutes each. Our first speaker, Leong Oi Hua, DTM, took 9 minutes and 31 seconds. Our speaker number 2, Belinda Jit Kaur, ACGALB, took 7 minutes and 42 seconds. Thereafter was the interesting dialogue with Mr. President, the host. Vincent Ho, DTM, was allocated 30 minutes and he took 31 minutes and 40 seconds. Our intermission was supposed to be 5 minutes and we took 5 minutes. The second half of the meeting was chaired by Eric Lau, DTM. He was given 2 minutes for the introduction and he took 1 minute. Moving on, DTM Leong Oi Hua's speech evaluated by Jessica Liu, DTM. DTM Jessica was given 3 minutes and she took 4 minutes and 27 seconds. Our second evaluator, Alice Liu DTM, was given 3 minutes and she took 4 minutes and 15 seconds to evaluate Belinda. The Grammarian report for tonight was presented by St. John VC2. He has 3 minutes and he took 4 minutes and 16 seconds. The R content report for Chan Kwan Yi DL2 took 1.5 seconds. I, Bernard, the timekeeper for this special meeting, was given 3 minutes and I took 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Thank you. That's all from my report. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Timer Bernard, for your timer report. You even managed to time yourself, which is very wonderful. And yeah, as they say, time waits for no man, but perhaps woman, as we have so many pretty ladies tonight in the house. And noting the time, we are a bit out of time, but we shall try to catch back with the time available. So, ladies and gentlemen, there we have it, all my role players report. And now is my session, your general evaluator. Okay, as we all know, our feedback are all personal. Okay, so take what you can, discard what you can't. Other than that, we shall settle outside of Zoom, okay? Definitely not in here. So below are some of my evaluation with no prejudice. So ladies and gentlemen, it's always good that we always start on time. They always say the Malaysian time, we always start late. So today we start on time at 8. Then we have our host, Distinguished Toastmaster Vincent, who always make us feel at home by welcoming all of us here today. And then proceed, we have the SAA, not single and available, but the Sergeant at Arms, Chi Liang, who start off with a wonderful video. And I think even our international president acknowledged that what a wonderful video we have today. And I thought that itself had kickstart the session and live up the energy. Then moving on to the next session, we have our ever elegant, pretty and charming Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Son Lee. Seeing her quite frequent, I would say this is the first time seeing her in such suit, such pretty kabaya. If you're wondering, this is one of the local traditional dress in Malaysia. And as she said, a company without a chief executive is like a club without a president. And for me, a meeting without Son Lee is like a session without fun. Because Son Lee basically deliver happiness like sugar in your teh tarik. Okay, Mr. President, if you're wondering what is teh tarik is basically tea with a lot of condensed milk. So that shows how sweet that our Toastmaster of the day is today. Because her biggest asset that I could say is a wonderful smile. Even without opening her mouth, her smile definitely melt our hearts. She conquered the stage well and she transitioned well as a Toastmaster of the day. So a round of applause for our Toastmaster of the day, Son Lee. Congratulations. And moving on, we have our president, Pauline, who always epitome the code of learning together, growing together, and knowing our Madam President, despite her corporate profile, she's such a humble lady, and being a president of the club, she definitely has anchored the club despite this current situation. So Pauline, salute you. Thank you for that wonderful opening. I think that itself has also energized us to close the meeting and the year with a bang. And of course, moving on, we have Carmen, who is none other than our District 51 District Director, Carmen. And I concur with you that, yes, we learn best in moments of enjoyment. And Carmen herself has also been visiting clubs around Malaysia, and she has definitely lent support towards MAICSA Toastmasters Club today. Moving on, what a privilege to have a keynote address by our Mr. President Richard. And from your whole keynote address, I will sum up that you were sharing and you were also emphasizing of opportunity. And I agree with you, because every day is an opportunity day. No opportunity are lost. They are simply passed on to those who are prepared to capture them. And I agree with you, and I think MAICSA themselves has captured the opportunity by still running meetings despite the current situation. Moving forward, we also have the P, which I mentioned earlier, the PIE, P-I-E. We have two wonderful, awesome speakers today, the project speech session. And we also have equally two awesome evaluator, which is the E. And I think both evaluator has done justice to the speaker, and I shall not elaborate more. Moving on, we have the dialogue session with Mr. President, hosted by our host, Distinguished Toastmaster Vincent Hall. And I would say this is such an honor and privilege to have the Mr. President himself sharing so many insightful information from all the way from the headquarters itself. So Mr. President Richard, we thank you so much. I felt that you are such a humble man. I did meet you in the 2014 International Convention in KLCC, but that time I think we are very far apart. But today I think is the first time where I'm like just side by side with you, despite you being in another country and we being in Malaysia. So this is the wonders of technology. You know, by just pinning two of us, I can take a picture and proudly say, I have been with the president. So today, Mr. President, thank you very much for spending your time all the way from America. I understand it's morning over there. So definitely appreciate you spending your morning here with us. And on behalf of MAICSA Toastmasters Club, District 51, and our country, Malaysia, we thank you profusely for spending your time here with us. You know, I would say you are someone who illuminates what we call the thing that we always use, servant leadership. I'm not sure about our grammarian who was saying about service leadership, but I agree that Richard is one of the servant leader who stepped down to the ground and visit the clubs. Like they say, you know, we have 16,200 clubs all over the world, and you are here in Malaysia in MAICSA Toastmasters Club. We are definitely privileged and honored to have you here. And a session, of course, you know, to have such a great Mr. President, we also have to equally have a person to handle the session. And we are very grateful today that we have Distinguished Toastmaster Vincent, who is one of the charter members. Oops, age has been revealed. Who has also stepped up and take the bulls by horn by actually moderating the session well. So Vincent Hall, wonderful. As a moderator, I thought you did wonderfully well. So no more further elaboration needed over there. Moving on, we break at 9:33 and we come back at 9:38. And then we have the evaluation session, which I have already mentioned earlier. And now to the part where we call the general evaluation. And looking at my timer, I'm surprised that we have not reached green. I'm not too sure whether that I'm too interesting or time really wait for men. Nevertheless, I shall proceed. Timer, if you are there, please show me some color. Okay, so firstly, okay, now I see green. Thank you very much. So again, as overall in the meeting, let me have a look. We have plenitude of resources here today, and I would like to give my big thanks and appreciation to both Vincent and Lacey for having me here today as a general evaluator. And of course, it's always a tough nutcracker to evaluate such a distinguished club like MAICSA Toastmasters Club. But as I say, no matter how good a club is, there's always room for improvement. So overall, I thought the club did well by having a very wonderful opening video. Like as I said, even our Mr. President had enjoyed the video. And then the next thing that I thought that you all did well is we actually had a standing ovation. You know, normally we have a standing ovation for a speaker who completed their first icebreaker. And today, we even have a standing ovation for Belinda, who completed her DTM. Just thankfully, we are all in with our pants and dresses. You know, being in an online situation, sometimes we look smart from the middle top, but sometimes we forget that we might not be wearing the appropriate pants. So today, I think all of us dressed well. Despite us giving the standing ovation, I have not seen something that's not supposed to be seen. Moving on, and I think our organizing chair, I think she has not revealed herself, but basically the organizing chair for this session today is none other than Distinguished Toastmaster Lacey. I think Lacey epitome someone who has this thing we call consistently consistent. She has been the one who's liaising with me at the back, sending me a reminder, sending me the agenda, updating me what is happening. And if you are wondering, this suit tonight, yes, basically she persuaded me to wear this. So if you are wondering, only for tonight, I'm married to this organization. And what else could I say, you know, for a club who has been since existence, since 2001. It's already 19 years. And I myself has only been here for 9 years. And the club, having been achieving 17 times President Distinguished club status, it just shows the quality in this club meeting tonight. So the only thing that I think I could highlight as an area for improvement is perhaps, since now we are all on Zoom, we are all being very technological, it's just perhaps to master the art of pinning, spotlighting, or mute. Okay, I'm not too sure whether if you have noticed throughout the meeting, there are sometimes that there are multiple speakers being pinned or spotlighted, despite not supposed to be so. And we also hear throughout the meeting, there are some unnecessary noises.